You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Real Housewives of New Jersey After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Real Housewives of New Jersey After Show.
I feel like I should be staring into the camera very sultry right now.
I know.
We need the fan, as Melissa likes it, the fan.
A Beyonce fan? More
All I can think of is Danielle Staub in the mirror looking at herself. Season 1 opening.
brutal. Ending pose, everyone. All right. If you guys are tuning in right now, this is the AfterBuzz After Show for the Real Housewives of New Jersey, your favorite wives from the Garden State. And I can't believe it, but this is a first. We have a full packed house of hosts. And super fans of the show. So I don't want to waste any time. We're going to go around the table and let everyone introduce themselves and give your little Twitter handle too, because we love it when people tweet in, call in. You guys have been doing that a lot, and keep it coming. So to my left.
All right, hey guys, I'm your host, Erika Garcia Rojas, and my Twitter is IamEGR.
Hello, everyone. I'm Grant, and my Twitter is GrantMichaelR, and I love the calls too, so bring it on.
Yeah.
I am Lauren Leonelli, and you can tweet me at Lauren Leonelli. And I'm so excited to be back. Yay! Hi, thank you, Marissa. And I am Diona Vaughan, and you guys can tweet me at It's Me, Diona V. And make sure you guys call because, you know, I'm going to say it again. We love it when you make your comments on iTunes, on YouTube. We really get into it. We know you guys like to comment and you like to, you know, call in and tweet us. So keep it coming because we got a full house tonight.
Yay.
So, all right, it's time to dig in. Episode 11, Children of the Scorned. All right, so we kick it off with the continuation of Teresa and Jacqueline's showdown. I want to get everyone's opinion on the authenticity and the sincerity of their little meeting. You know, do you think it was real? Did it seem like, you know, peace was really going to happen? Because I kind of feel like they didn't bring up everything for a reason. They kind of just let things sit to the side because they knew, you know, they're going to agree to disagree. And okay, now we're friends. What do you guys think?
I don't know if it's, you know, this whole Housewife franchise, like, stuff went bad on New York. Like, that show, and we were just all talking about this while we were watching, like, we don't even see promos for New York because everyone just hated each other. It got really gross. And I don't know if this is like, yeah, these are really these women's lives and these problems are real, but some of it's set up by producers, obviously, and editing and situations like that. So yeah, you wonder how much in this situation they're trying to glaze over. Like, all of a sudden, Teresa and Joe are fine, and now Teresa and Jacqueline are fine. Like, are they trying to make people friends so that it just doesn't get gross like New York? I don't know. I wonder about how much of it they glazed over.
Well, I didn't find it genuine at all. I really didn't. I wasn't into
Tell us
it
how you
at
really
all.
feel, Grant.
No, I mean, I said this last week when they met with Dr. V up in the Adirondacks or whatever. It was like 10 minutes with Dr. V, and everyone was making dinner and making pasta and going out ice fishing. And I know they probably cut it down.
Yeah.
But my argument with that is you've built 2, maybe 3 seasons up to this point of this big war, and so, you know, you boil it down to a 10-minute, like, therapy session. So I wasn't too pleased about that, and I felt the same way with this. I mean, so far throughout the season, the past 10 episodes, Jacqueline has been swearing up a storm, you know, throwing shade at the whole Gorga Giudice family and their little feud, especially Teresa. And then they sat down, and Teresa gave her half. Then we start this week. Jacqueline says hers 10 minutes in. They're like, oh, it's water under the bridge, pretty much. And I know that, you know, Jacqueline, she mentioned that she's still guarded and she has trust issues, which is understandable. But, you know, why just come across so transparent to Teresa and just be like, yeah, all right, okay, we're ready to move on?
You wanted to see more of it. You felt like they were like keeping us from the juicy stuff.
Well, I think Jacqueline needs to make a point saying that, I mean, all right, we can get past this, but I'm not going to really forget things. Like, she just really just kind of let Teresa get away with everything. That's how I viewed it.
Interesting.
So you think that Teresa was like the one that was the wrongdoer in the situation, meaning like she's getting away with stuff? Because I kind of feel the same way.
More or less.
Yeah.
I mean, more or less. Yeah.
Yeah,
What-
I
what
agree.
What did you think, Erika?
Well, I know, and if you guys reading the blogs, when you read it, Jacqueline said about the whole thing, and now much later, we know what's going on. That obviously they don't have a relationship, but Jacqueline said, after watching it, in her words, she's like, I was trying to just make nice or whatever, and Teresa's comment of, keep your friends close but your enemies closer, and she's like, it goes to the same vein of like, I didn't think the whole thing was sincere. So if you read that, that's what she said. And what Teresa was saying, Teresa wasn't necessarily saying like, I want us to be best friends. She was saying, let's just be civil.
Yeah, civil.
And I think in all purposes, for the show to continue, Lauren, like you said,
That's what I'm saying,
it
yeah.
has to happen because they need to get together in these scenes like the Zumba and all that stuff to film, and they've just got to, in some ways throw the water on the bridge. They can still hate each other, but they got to be civil, and from that's what it looks like to me. This whole situation.
Me too.
is.
I felt like the two men, I feel like Chris and Joe, because, let's be real. Men tend to handle things like this very differently, and you can chime in, Grant. But I felt like they kind of made up and kissed. They were smoking cigars. It was great. But then, with Jacqueline and Teresa, I felt like there was some fakeness to it. Just kind of like, let's just move on and say we've made up. And to Erika's point, if you read Jacqueline's blog, she was very clear about, how things actually went and how she felt and how she just kind of felt like, Teresa was just giving her lip service and, she didn't really feel the sincerity of anything. So, and we now know that, there's truly no relationship. So, and of course, what did Teresa say? She said, when things build up or get bad, just text me. I mean, who says that?
That's what I'm saying.
Teresa, that's a typical
Well,
Teresa
I think what
line.
Teresa's saying though is text me instead of twittering it out to
right,
the world.
but-
And Jacqueline, that's what she's been known to do.
Yeah.
Is to like go to Twitter and go crazy on Twitter.
But that's true. She's meaning like keep an open relationship with me, but I think you can say that like, hey, if there's something wrong, come to me. Don't text me.
Text
like,
me.
I think that's
it
what she
seemed
was
a little
trying to say.
It just doesn't.
Impersonal.
It just doesn't sit
Yeah,
well
impersonal.
with me. It just doesn't sit well with me. The way that you were mentioning how like they have to be civil to go on these trips, like for the Real Housewives season, whatever, and that just to be able to be in the same scenes together. Because at what point is it really reality and then a reality show, and it just makes the whole thing seem even more contrived than it maybe probably even is.
Yeah.
It just, to me as a viewer, like you want to see, these people, this reality, this real life, and to me it's just, if they're just gonna make nice so they can be on the same show.
Well, I think the relationship between Jacqueline and Teresa is like broken at this point. Like they had a genuine relationship, they were close friends. I think it's broken. I think it's done. I think too much damage is done, and Grant, they have to make nice to continue on the show. Teresa's in part of like a long-term contract. I don't know what Jacqueline's is, but
If they weren't on the show, then these two women would probably just never speak. And so that's why that's the disconnect that I'm having. Because it's like, all right, well, now they're just going to be fake.
Teresa said this. She said, I just want her to leave me alone and just not say anything negative.
Yeah.
Teresa said that during the conversation. So it's like,
I think they should be careful about like Jacqueline should be. It's interesting to read her blog, and people want more. They want to get into the story more, and they want details. But I think she should be careful because, like you're saying, Grant, it doesn't. I detach a little when I don't feel like I'm really a fly on the wall. Like that's what makes me like watching this. And if I feel like it's like they're just pretending to be not, I don't know.
it just seems like a reality show. Like it's pretending like the
Totally.
producers are going in there. We're not, and we're just wasting our time, which we are anyways.
There's
But still,
I don't. Is
even more so.
we all watch the show very closely.
Yeah.
Let me ask: do you feel that there's more producer input on this season than in the past? I just see a lot of it.
I think we've seen a lot of producer input just in general, just especially like that fashion show last season when Jacqueline got that text. That was
the
producer
biggest
input.
one of
Like,
all.
come on.
Totally.
But I've said this before. Like, I think out of all the Real Housewives franchises, because of the true relationships that exist between all of these people, you've got sister-in-laws and brother and
Family.
sister. You've got family. They're real relationships.
Yeah.
So I think out of all the other franchises, this to me is the most real it can be because they're not
I agree.
created relationships.
I agree.
you know?
I totally agree.
So. You know, it is produced a little, but I still think it's
all
real.
produced for sure, and that's with any. I mean, come on, you watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and it's like, but you still watch for whatever reason because you feel.
I can't handle them. I can't handle
either.
it.
I don't
Sorry.
I like it. I like being, like I said, I like feeling like a fly on the wall, and this takes me out a little. But we also need to see how it's all going to pan out, and I know we know. Because this is in the past and we're living now in the present moment and we hear things, but it's still intriguing enough. It's not like I'm totally disconnected, you know.
Well, let's move on to a little surgery, a little tummy tuck action with Jacqueline. Now, we had a conversation about this as we were all viewing the show together, and it's come up that everybody's just like, oh my God, Jacqueline, you don't need surgery, and it's so, what a risky surgery. I feel like if you want to do something that's going to make you look better and feel better about yourself, and it's not crazy over the top, you're not getting a face transplant to look like somebody else, I say go for it. And I kind of had a problem with everybody just being so, oh my God, what are you doing?
Worrying, making her worry.
Yeah, making her worry. I mean, Kathy got a nose job. Like where where was that worry?
Well, we didn't see because Kathy didn't get it on camera.
Yeah, she didn't do it on camera.
I'm all about people having plastic surgery and doing what they want to do, and if it makes them feel better. The concern was coming from her family, her daughter, her parents, and a tummy tuck is not a joke. It's a serious surgery. I get it. More so than a nose job, and so
I just think, and you're totally right, Erika, but I just feel like why freak somebody out? Like they weren't like, if I was gonna have a surgery and I was freaked out about it, I wouldn't want people to be like, yeah, you should be freaked out, you might die. Like, no, I'd want them to be like, you're going to be okay. We're here for you. It's going to be fine. He's a good doctor. They're all like, what? You're going to die. Like,
you're going to be dehydrated.
Guys, come on.
Yeah, especially if your mind is made up and you're going to have it.
Totally.
So it's like,
yes, there's a healthy worry, of course, but like, you probably try not to say like, I'm scared you're gonna die on the operating table to somebody who's about to go on the operating table. It's like, thanks a lot, but and she was not only having a tummy tuck, speaking of being serious, but it was the neck lift too.
Yeah.
I'm dying to see what she
I find Jacqueline to be very insecure in just many ways, and my sister mentioned that like a few seasons ago, and I've kind of been like thinking in the back of my mind, and it's like, she's definitely with these surgeries really insecure, and I mentioned that these are surgeries you could get when you're like 60, like a neck lift.
Totally.
I mean, she's what, 40, do we say?
I
Around
don't even
then?
think she's 40.
I don't think
but
she's
a neck
40,
lift is and she doesn't really look like that's not our place to say does she need it or not, but from what I see, a neck lift, it doesn't look like she even needs the neck lift.
I feel like that's something, I mean, again, do what you feel is going to make you feel good, but I feel like that's definitely something you wait until your later life to do, just because it's only going to get, but I mean, it's definitely, it's a little extreme, I will say, but I want to know.
There are other things you can do to make yourself feel happy and forget things a little bit, like, I don't know about
having tequila the night before your surgery.
How much of this, though, I mean, insecurities manifest themselves in many different ways, and how much of this do you think is just like impounding on her? She's a very sensitive person. We've seen that throughout all the seasons. She's easily affected and thrown off by drama that's happening around her. She retreats. Like last season, she didn't even go to the reunion. Which is fine. It's not a judgment call. She just doesn't. She buckles under that kind of stuff. So how much do you think the last season was pretty brutal? She went through a lot. Plus her son, like I wonder how much of that is manifesting itself into this, like, I can control the way I look, so why don't I get a tummy tuck type thing? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just saying that's a way, yes, that insecurity was probably there regardless, but I wonder how much of this stuff is impounding the decision for her, and I feel bad for her.
Well, I mean,
I feel bad for her.
Is it because of her situation with her son?
Yeah, and I feel like, and I feel like she's really, really affected by, like, some people don't, when her friends are mad at her and stuff, as much as, like, she would get upset and talk shit about Teresa or whatever, like, I feel like she cried a lot. Like, she was really hurt by whatever was going on. However she handled it is her own thing, but you could visibly see her, like, anxiety, and I feel bad for her that it affects her like that, and it's not, that sucks. She seems like she's going through pain, is what I'm saying. Like, she's in pain.
Yeah.
And she's up against some really tough women, though, on that show.
Totally.
Too.
I mean, and we've seen Jacqueline go through a lot. We've seen her struggles with her daughter, Ashley, like last season. We've seen her struggle with trying to get pregnant. Then she gets pregnant. She has a kid. Now the kid has autism. Plus she's been, a little insecure about her looks in general. Of course. And you're on television every week, So that those are a lot of pressures. And just, to your point, Lauren, just how she is able to juggle things. So I just say do what makes you feel good.
I'm dying to see. I mean, are the interviews that we're seeing after? Because I don't really notice like anything different. Like when she's having her little confessional. Because I'm like looking at her now. I'm like,
I would hope that they were before.
Usually they do that when they have a surgery. I remember in the Housewives of Beverly Hills. Remember when Kim had her nose dropped?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like they wait until.
Okay. Yeah.
I
I
was
hope
just
they
gonna
do.
say
Because I
that,
want a
yeah.
reveal. I want a big reveal.
I want to see it too.
Yeah,
we
I
all
was
do.
looking for that with
Yeah,
Kim. I was looking for. I was
Me
going to see if
too.
the outfit was the same pre-surgery and post-surgery, and it wasn't. So
They were good about that
Yeah.
surgery for Kim, so I'm assuming they're going to do the same thing
Right.
here. with
I hope
Jacqueline.
so.
I do too.
All right, so moving on from surgery and tummy tucks, we've got a little uncle and niece time with Joe and with Gia.
How heavy was that
Well,
conversation?
before that,
my
I want to see
God.
when we see Gia getting ready. It's so funny. Her and her little Gia's 12 years old. What do you guys think about the fact that she's sitting there putting on a lot of
makeup?
I didn't do that when I was
No,
12.
I didn't either.
What do you think Teresa's kids are going to be doing?
Yeah, but
I mean,
still at 12.
point.
I mean, and it wasn't just lip gloss.
No,
she
it was
had
like
a brush and it was.
eyeliner.
Teresa gave.
Like, I'm all about makeup.
Teresa gave
Don't
them
get
a
me wrong.
kit.
I know,
Like,
but not at 12.
I love
Oh,
makeup.
those
too.
girls they all have makeup kits, please.
I
I
just
think
think
they
it's a
all
little
got
young.
them
I
like,
mean,
and they were
You have
6.
your whole life to put makeup on. I
It
think
was
12
a
is
bit
young.
much. I agree. It was
It's
a bit much.
But then again, I mean, I am not making a judgment call on the parenting, but I watched
But
that
you
house
are.
and I'm like, what is everything
Yeah.
seems a little extreme in that house in my opinion.
Yeah,
like,
you seemed a little bothered by different things that were going on. We were reviewing
girls
it.
are hanging from the staircase,
Yeah.
which is clearly like at least 5 feet from the marble hard floor.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but I feel like maybe, and just the yelling that happenings, like Melania's always the one that's like, shut up, mom. I'm like, what is she allowed to say?
Yeah,
that?
those kids are just.
It just seemed like everything's very extreme, and so it doesn't surprise me that she's also putting on makeup a lot younger than
she should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like anything goes in that house.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's talk about the conversation that she's having with her friends. I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's a little production value to that as well, but the thought that a 12-year-old is discussing with her other 12-year-old friends about the relationship between her mom and her uncle. Like, what the?
I think that was just production trying to set up the next scene with her.
yeah,
and
I
her.
think-
I didn't like it though.
The
I mean,
problem
No.
is that she is in. Yeah, I don't like it either. She's involved in a problem that she should not be involved in, and that's obviously because of the show. I feel like, but then also Teresa's like listening in with the little girl, the sister rocking the side pony. Like I'm like, they should not be. This is when the mom steps in and says,
shouldn't be
"Look,
talking
honey,
about this."
is not your problem. Like it's gonna be okay." But I think that even if she tried to shelter her from that, it's impossible just because of the like she said, she goes to school and people say stuff. It's hard to, but she should keep a very open dialogue with her about it. We don't see that. Maybe she does, but I feel like this is something that you need to be closely monitoring your daughter. I mean, she's clearly affected by it, and they even flash back to that scene where she was like singing that song.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was
I'm
so
sure they
awkward.
talk about it. I mean, even Gia
poor
said, like,
girl.
my mother and I have a close relationship. We
I know,
talk
but
about
I
it
think
all.
there's a certain type of information that it seems like they talk like friends
Too
about
much,
it, and I
yeah.
feel like maybe
Yeah.
there's a don't worry, this is going to be okay, and sort of a general explanation of don't worry about it, this is my thing, whatever. But like I said, I mean, maybe she can't shield her from it because of the show. I just feel like her listening in on that and being like, oh, hee hee hee, like
I know.
weird.
As much as I think it is inappropriate for a 12-year-old to, say as much as she has and be so involved, she has a lot of good things to say.
She does.
You know what I mean? She
Well-
has a really great perspective.
Teresa was on the Real Real Housewives. She was on What Happens Live last season, and a caller called in and asked, do your daughters watch the show? And she said no. She said they're
yeah,
all
she said
too
no.
young. She said, but Gia does have a TV in her room, and she can put it on. I don't know if she does. That was like
course
a
she
way.
does.
That was a
course
way
she
of her to
does.
say. I mean, the girl's on a television show. If I was 12 and on a TV show, I'd be tuning in.
Yeah,
I'd be
like-
wanting to see myself, and if I looked
cute.
cute or whatever.
Yeah.
So she
And
knows
not to
everything.
mention, like, the tabloids and everything else. And even if she
Right.
doesn't watch it, which I'm sure she does, she's at school. She's at
she
an
has a
age where
smartphone.
everyone
She can
talks
get
about it.
Yeah, she can get the e-app and read everything. I mean,
And think about it, like at 12, and you're in school, and you're the kid you're the daughter of like the Housewives fiasco.
You're famous.
that's
She's
going
famous.
on.
That little
famous.
girl's
I mean,
famous.
can you imagine
Absolutely.
like being in school? I mean, I'm sure that's what they talk about, and they make fun of her, and it's good and bad in
All
different
the
ways.
time.
Yeah.
Totally.
So like, it's affecting her in so many more ways
Oh,
than just
yeah.
like what we see. Like in school and everything. She seems like a cool chick, though. I'm sure she's maybe the popular girl as opposed to being made fun of.
A little attitude.
Yeah, she's got like the
got
attitude.
a lot of attitude.
She's so pretty.
Yeah.
She's gotta be so. I mean,
She's
she
got
was such a
attitude.
beautiful little girl. So
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with her though as she gets older. If she'll go like the route of Ashley, or I mean, of course, there's a lot of these, a lot of things in the news, and things could go in a lot of different directions. So
Yeah.
who knows? But it'll be interesting to see because all those daughters of Teresa do seem to all have individual personalities.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they all evolve.
And speaking about, just really quickly, I just want to insert this. What's the daughter, Gabriella?
Yeah.
yeah.
She doesn't look like she's.
No.
We were talking about this.
They
Where
all
does she
look
come from?
so-
The milkman. I mean, like
She's
They
like-
all look so like Gia and Melania look like clones of each other, and then you see Gabriella, you're like,
where's she come
whoa.
from?
It's just interesting to see
Yeah.
how like different genetics work in different ways because she looks
Totally.
and I feel like she's. Even her personality, like she's always very quiet. All the other little girls are always yelling at each other and stuff. I'm like, I want to see what's going to happen with that little girl.
choice.
And they show her a
yeah,
lot.
the
Clothing.
jerseys and like she's always dressed in like little sporty clothes.
Yeah.
Whereas the other
Little
girls are in like
tomboy.
tutus. So they don't ever talk about it, but you see it, you're like, oh, she's like the little
I
tomboy.
wonder
I don't
if-
blame her because Teresa had those kids running on little runways and always dolled up, and if maybe just too much.
That's what I'm
Maybe
saying.
They just had
She's
their
like-
quota.
Yeah, she's like,
What?
dude, I can't deal with this
Yeah.
glitter.
She had her
And
quota
leopard.
of lace. Yeah.
Leopard.
Like no
I-
side pony for me.
I found it very interesting because I feel like this episode there were so many clips of just her, just of the like
Gabriella,
literally
yeah.
of Gabriella, and I don't ever recall them really doing that. But like I felt like they were trying to send us a message in an undercover way. It was just
I
weird.
felt the same
There's
thing last
so many
week.
Clips of her.
Yeah, last week we saw her a lot,
lot,
too.
yeah.
I wonder what they're
Strange.
doing with that.
I don't know either, but like it just seemed a little out of the
And
ordinary.
when you're watching this show, every single scene and every single thing that's presented to us is so deliberate. Like every time you see like a little scene or a little thing, they're trying to build up on something that's going to happen later in the episode or in a few episodes later. Because think about all the footage they have. And every little thing they insert is very specific and very much
a lot of-
adding up to their storyline.
This episode in particular, but leading up to this season, definitely feel like every time they go do something, it's like this put together group, and used to be more like we're gonna go have coffee, or hey, now it's like everything's very planned.
Yeah.
But that's also how it is.
That's all of them,
It's
yeah.
all of them. That's how
Yeah.
the OC is.
OC.
Like
Yeah.
Teresa and Jacqueline, when they had their sit down at the end of last week's episode, they were like, "Oh, we have our own little room." I'm like, "Yeah, it was booked about 2 months ago."
Clearly, they shut down the restaurant for
Yeah.
you because they thought someone was going to flip a table.
Yeah.
I was very surprised that didn't go that way.
What, that she didn't flip a
That
table?
she didn't get they weren't spitting in each other's faces.
Well, Teresa even talked about it in her blog this
Yeah,
week. She
saw
said
that.
something about like the flipping table. She's like, that was something where my actions was like totally uncalled for, and I never want to do it again. And if you see me during the scene with Jacqueline, I'm very reserved. I'm like
She
holding
was.
everything back. Yeah. She learned her lesson. I mean, she's
Yeah.
the
She
chick.
looked like an idiot.
She was like the crazy person that flipped the table. That's what she'll forever be known for in reality history.
I know,
was
it's-
that scene of
Yeah.
her flipping
great.
the table.
I thought you were going to flip this table right now. I'm not nervous.
Prostitution whore. Like that's the
It's
best
bolted
line
in.
too.
Every table she used to sit in is bolted in.
It's gonna be really hard to ever match that unless
Yeah.
we get Danielle back.
All right, here I want to circle back on Gia and Joe. So Gia, they're hanging out finally. It's she's grown. It's been a year since she's seen he's her godfather too, not only her uncle. But she says that she claims that she knew everything that was going on because she's so close to her dad. What do you think about her calling out her uncle, calling out an adult on his behavior? Like I don't know. I know these girls do what they want to do and they're not kids so much, but I just thought it was a little inappropriate.
What was inappropriate?
That she called him out on every,
You thought it was inappropriate on Gia's end? for her
Yes,
to do that?
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm really glad they had that scene because I'm glad that they are showing the fact that what the adults do has a big effect on the children.
This is true.
And they're not ignoring the fact that the children are affected. And I like that she said something and that there was a voice from that perspective because what the parents are doing is awful. It's horrible, and the children are the innocent bystanders in this, and they're the ones that get screwed over. And I like that there was a voice for that.
I agree, but I feel like as a 12-year-old, I'd have got smacked in the mouth.
So you
if I
found
had,
it disrespectful.
A little disrespectful.
Yeah, I did. I
Well,
did.
this is the problem though. There's no boundaries there.
Yeah,
And so
no.
she doesn't know that. I mean, her mom's telling her information that I personally don't think you should tell a child. Yeah,
No.
don't keep them in the dark.
Yeah.
But there's this only a certain amount of things they should know within reason, or things they can comprehend or even emotionalize at that age. And I feel like she knows a little more than she should. So of course she's going to get in front of him and say regurgitate all these things that her mom is saying. And, you know, yeah, I mean, there was a tad, in my opinion, she crossed the line a little in the disrespect. Yeah, I don't think she was doing it to be disrespectful. I think this is what she knows, and I feel like the real problem there is that she shouldn't know all of that.
Exactly.
That's what the real problem is.
I mean, she even called him out on the christening.
Well,
she was like,
the christening, though, she was there.
She was there.
I think that was fine.
And I think that was fine because his behavior has been awful, and he owned up to it.
Well,
he said it was disgusting behavior, and she called him out on it. She's like, "Don't you remember I was standing there?" So I don't think it was disrespectful for her to say that to him, because that's something I feel that it was good she said that. She's like, "I was standing right there,"
and stuck with her.
Yeah. And like we said this when we were watching that scene. It's like, I would be, if that were me at that age, it's a traumatic thing to have your mother be attacked by her uncle that you love. Think about all psychologically everything that's happening with that.
But you can replay that because it's on tape.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
traumatizing. You can't shake it.
That aspect of the conversation, I feel like, was okay for her to say, "Hey, look, this is how it made me feel," because she was there. But there's just other stuff that she shouldn't be. To me, it's clear she's regurgitating things that her mom has said, and that's fine. But I feel like her mom shouldn't be pitting dude, do you know how many times you hear those little girls be like, "Melissa's a stripper"? Why do they know that? Well, A, what do they know is a stripper is anyway, and B, why are they saying those things? Like, that's what I'm saying. I think Teresa, in my opinion, should not be, if they ask questions, yes, there's a line you go up to, and when you give information, don't lie to your children, but come on, like, you shouldn't be saying, "Well, your aunt's a stripper." I mean,
Well, I like that Gia was a straight shooter because I like that, but I also think it's great that she's so mature for her age, because she might need to be.
She has to be. I mean, I was gonna say survival of the fittest.
She might really, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but she might need to really
grow up.
I get it.
Yeah.
If she were 16 years old and having this conversation with Joe, I think I'd have a different opinion.
Yes.
But the fact that she's 12,
I get it.
And I agree with you. I do like that they showed that, you know, their behavior affects kids, but like, you have to blame, at the end of the day, Teresa.
Parents,
You have to blame the parent. You know, why is she so loose at the mouth? You know, when it comes to stuff, she knows too much. She knows too much.
She does.
I mean,
and you know, her father is
she's growing up too fast. This little girl is growing up too fast, in my opinion.
But you wonder too, like, because I agree with you guys too. Teresa shouldn't be bad talking her brother or anything. The children shouldn't be exposed to that. But we go back to the same issue of, but when she's in school and people are bringing it up and this and that, like, you know, I'm sure she probably goes back home and says, "What's going on here?" So
I'm sure.
In some ways, you would wonder, like, if you were in that situation as a parent, like, what would you do? You could shield them from everything, but you know they're still going to have to be put up against it when they're in school. So should they know?
Well, this is the other thing too, is that this show is not meant for like 8-year-olds to be watching. This show is meant for like an audience that's like teenagers and above. So the fact that these other kids are watching it and then going to Gia and saying mean things to her, and that's happening, it's all a little bit weird.
But maybe they're watching it because Gia's there, you know?
But the parents should step in and be like, this show is, I would not.
Parental control.
I would not let my 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old be watching the show. So that's the problem.
See, I don't expect too much else out of Gia, because who in her life is reserved and holds their tongue?
Totally.
And I mean, she's got no one there to really kind of use as
No,
I know, but I mean, she's really got no like role models that will be able to, that she can kind of see, like, maybe I shouldn't go there. You know, I mean, everyone just, look at Joe. I mean, everyone just kind of put it out there before they even think about it.
Well, speaking of kids and inappropriate things, let's hit Zumba. So they're on the bus. And as I'm watching this scene, I'm just thinking, my God, like, how many times, like, you know, now they start calling names. The name calling thing starts again. You know, it's like, haven't they learned their lesson yet not to say stuff in front of the kids? I just,
I agree. And I feel also like, again, I just think maybe that there's a level of like a jadedness happening or something, because now they're just like, it's like there's no freaking boundaries, and you guys, like, come on, it's good to have this open retreat and whatever, leave it there. Like, Teresa, it's awkward when you're like, you called me a sociopath, we're all having a nice time on the bus, you don't need to start rehashing shit, like, stuff, excuse me, I just, whatever. And then plus the little girl's there, it's like, and then she's like, I'm Melissa, I'm on the pole. That's what I'm talking about.
Which is what makes you feel like all of this, them resolving everything, none of it's true. Because, like, they've got this underlying tension, this underlying, when you're still pissed pissed at somebody, you throw those jabs. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
She knows
when,
exactly
when you're
what she's
forgiving
doing.
somebody and you want to move on, you're not going to sit there and say, "Oh, what's a sociopath? Look it up." Blah, blah, blah,
Well,
blah.
we saw Melissa throw a jab last week
Yeah,
too about being a good little girl.
And
I mean,
Teresa
so-
actually in her blog this week, she wrote that. She's like, "Oh, I'll let everyone walk all over me and I'll just be a good little girl." She put that in quotes in her blog. And so like you feel like none of them are moving on. None of them are sincere. None of them like each other because they're all still throwing these little jabs. And you're just like, ugh. It just becomes this like vicious cycle.
Like we mentioned this last week. Like, just don't even acknowledge it. Just move on.
on.
Just don't even go
then
there.
you
You're
gotta
asking for
wonder-
trouble.
You gotta wonder, are they, kind of told to, hey, if you want to bring it up and start a little something, go for it, like by the production side of, because
Yeah.
there's
And
no
that's
problem.
the problem. And that's the problem I have with the show.
I wonder. I don't know. I mean, that
Yeah.
could just be Teresa being awkward because she tends to do that often and well. But I feel like she,
Yeah, that she's asking Siri what a sociopath is.
I know.
Like, come on.
whatever. Yeah,
Oh,
that
my
was an
God.
awkward moment though, for sure, in more ways than one.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think that any of their conversation, it's not true, because you don't throw digs like that.
No.
Yeah.
Let me ask, now that things are, quote, resolved, but now
Uh-huh.
people are kind of throwing shade at one another and making these comments, is this what the rest of the season is going to be? It's going to be up and downs of us like getting along and then not, and then someone makes a comment and then we talk about
Well,
it. Like,
how
what do you
does
think?
The
Well,
whole
that's
show,
been the
like
whole show.
5
No, but it's
seasons
been
or
a lot
whatever.
worse.
Yeah.
I mean, now that's what I mean by saying that everything is resolved. Like, after we went through all the big
Yeah.
stuff, did all the big stuff already happen? And now is the rest of the season just going to be like little comments?
I
No,
don't know.
I guarantee they're going to end the season with the posh fashion show and something that's going to happen there. Like, it's just.
Another fashion.
Can we get an invite?
or
Can we go to
yeah,
this?
I know. Some kind of big
wouldn't it be
event
awesome?
that they're going to fight or do something. I don't know. I just.
I'll fly out to Jersey. I'll bring
I
our
feel
little
like
beat
they should
microphones.
not go to that stupid fashion show anyway.
Now, here are a few things that I just wanted to bring out. So I don't know if it bothered you guys, if you guys caught this, and I think you did, Erica, but why is it that Melania, doesn't know who Kathy is? They're relatives. I know it's been a while since they've seen each other, but the fact that she didn't know who Richie and Kathy were,
Didn't something like this happen last season? Wasn't there a comment last season? I think it was. I don't know if it was Kathy, but I think it was somebody else.
How
It might have
old is
been Rosie.
Melania?
I'm pretty
old
sure.
enough to know who her family
But
members
if she hasn't seen Kathy look, I work with kids, and if you ask a 5-year-old where they were last summer, they're not going to remember.
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel like, yeah, it was definitely weird because it just proves that Kathy and Rich in the Wachili family are not around. But I do kind of feel like she genuinely who's Kathy?
Yeah.
And then she sees her and knows who she is, but little kids don't retain, they don't remember stuff like that.
And I loved how
Yeah.
when they walked in, Teresa's like, "That's your
that's
Richie.
Uncle
That's
Richie."
Uncle Richie."
Erica, that is what I'm talking about.
I know,
Why
the
point
jab.
that out? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, see, now you know who Richie is, so now you
Right.
make.
But that's
Yeah.
Teresa. Teresa always
That's what I'm saying.
does that. She always
Awkward.
throw these little things out there, and
And-
I'm ready to move on. Blah 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 blah.
Well,
I
see-
feel like, though, sorry to interject for a second,
Okay.
I do think Teresa is kind of crazy, but I also sometimes wonder if she doesn't even realize that she's being rude or
I don't think she
right.
does.
She's
I don't
just
think she
like
realizes
she's
it.
like
I don't think she does.
Yeah.
she's like
Alright.
out to lunch all the
Well,
time.
maybe I'm giving her too much credit, but I think the cameras are in her house. Her daughter doesn't know who a family member is, and it looks really bad on her part. So as soon as the uncle comes in, oh, you remember, right? It's like a quick gloss over.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
That's
giving
true.
her too much
Yeah,
credit, but
that's
that's
okay.
what I think.
But then she doesn't realize that just makes her look like she's
She
making
doesn't
a
know.
jab.
Exactly.
Yeah, she
I
doesn't
agree.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's good with that. So she
Yeah.
might pretend like she doesn't know what a sociopath is, but yeah, I think she can be a little
Teresa, honestly,
calculated.
I mean, I'm not like Albert Einstein here, but she is definitely not the sharpest tool in the shed. Some stuff she doesn't even say words. She's like, "Is that the right word? What? How do you say
It's
it?"
great television, though.
It's like
it's good.
It is. She's not the
I mean,
best at
she's like,
articulating
no.
her feelings and thoughts. That is for sure. Let's talk about Caroline and Greggy. Now, here's what's interesting is, and I even said it as we were watching. I feel like Caroline and the Mandos, I kind of,
Don't care.
yeah, they're
Yeah, me
just,
too.
and now it's just become so separated. Like even when Caroline was called to go up to the retreat and come save the day, it's just Caroline now. Like we don't even see the whole family. We don't see Chris and Albie and Albert and Lauren, like we don't really see that part commingling with everybody else anymore. Do we think that they're on their way out? You know,
I'm actually okay with it because I didn't like Lauren complaining ad nauseum about her weight and all her problems, and it wasn't enjoyable for me, that aspect. So I'm okay if it looks like next week we make it a little of that. Which you know, maybe I'll.
Well, they had the whole scene this week with the BLK. Remember how we were talking about it too? We were wondering what was going on with that because and I thought it was interesting during that scene because what we've talked about is like Chris was a big investor in BLK, so he's basically saying you guys are now opening up this restaurant, which I have to note, like opening a restaurant is a huge, big deal.
It's a lot of work.
Like, and for them to, and this goes back with what I was saying too about, like, I think the Manzo kids are great, but I think they're really spoiled because most people say that opening up a restaurant is one of the hardest things that you can possibly do. And they're like, oh, well, BLK is going to be like our wife, and then the restaurant's going to be our mistress. That just runs itself. A restaurant does not run itself.
Good luck.
Especially when you're a 22-year-old kid who's never done it before. Granted, they have the help of their father, but I'm sure he himself is busy with his own thing. Yeah. So, and I understand Chris's concern saying, you lived upstairs from what's the name of the restaurant?
Brownstone.
No.
No.
The new restaurant.
Townhouse.
Little town.
Wait,
Little Town. Yeah, you live upstairs from the restaurant, and you know what's gonna happen with BLK, and I don't blame him for being concerned. And the brothers, we can do it, blah blah blah. Really? Like, I don't know.
I mean, I think that they feel like they have this great example of their dad with the brownstone, and like he just ran it. He was given that business at a young age, and he made it happen.
But it was just a brownstone. He didn't also have like a water
all
bottle
these other
company.
businesses.
No, I know, but restaurant-wise, I'm saying, and so I feel like they think they watch their dad do it so effortlessly. Maybe they don't realize, but I mean, I've never run a restaurant before, but they definitely seem a little blasé about it. Like,
Well,
it's very
Caroline said on Watch What Happens Live last week that it's going really well. So
I mean, they're obviously, come on, they have like
What's
they're
going well? The BLK?
No,
Or
the
restaurant.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
they have
I know.
free advertising for it
every
and
week.
a lot of
And it's
people
in
watch
Hoboken.
this show.
Yeah.
But I said this about the BLK water. I see it at my Whole Foods. I know what it is, and I don't buy it because I don't want to drink black water. There's something weird.
I've never seen it.
I see
it's
it.
at Whole Foods,
And every
yeah.
time I see it, I think, no, I'm not buying that.
I mean, I think it's time to move on from that. I mean, it was either going to be like a smash out of the box hit, or
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I mean, you
agree
got to
with you on
focus
that.
your attention, your money, especially. It sounds like they can't take anything out of it. They're just throwing money into it. I mean, it's time to kind of reevaluate. I don't know.
Yeah, but they got their uncle, and now they don't want to just,
They had a lot of money put into it.
Yeah.
Well, it's business. You got to figure it out.
I feel like the restaurant, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen.
Yeah,
with
they'll just declare bankruptcy like all the rest of them.
and then get in trouble
Easy
for
though,
it.
yep.
I feel like I just want to see more of everybody like
Together and not so
commingling
separated,
and not so
Yeah.
separate.
Do you mean
Yeah.
like a trip? Is that what you're looking for?
Not necessarily a trip.
Well, that's how they do it.
I'm ready
That is
for
how
a
they
trip
do
for them.
it. But yeah, I just feel like lately there's been a separation, a clear separation and a divide.
Yeah.
You just don't see everybody like together like you used to.
I
hanging
wonder
out.
if I like Caroline. I do like her. There's a little, and I hate to say it because I like her, but the holier than thou mentality that I get from her sometimes.
Yeah.
But I can also see why, because sometimes she says stuff and you're like, dude, she's just rising above it. Like, she's just like, I don't want to be a part of it. I don't. So that's, I think, what we're feeling, that like she doesn't want to be a part of it. Like, she's all about her family, and like I think that's, you can respect that, but as a viewer, you're like, I want to see them, like you're
Exactly.
saying.
I wanna see it.
mean,
I think
Yeah.
she has the same situation though as Teresa, where she's stuck in a contract with them.
Probably.
And I think
Well-
I would think if given her choice, I think out of all the housewives, she'd probably leave.
I agree.
Yeah,
She'd be the first to go.
Yeah, for sure.
At the same
Such a
time,
Really?
Yeah.
See,
you
I
know,
think Kathy is on her. I think Kathy's ready to leave.
No, I
No,
think
I
Kathy
think Kathy
likes
loves
it.
it.
Kathy likes
I think
it.
she
No,
loves
but
it.
I
think
think
she needs it.
no, I know she would
Yeah.
stay on with
Yeah.
it, but
Oh,
I don't
you're saying
think that
they-
she
yeah.
needs to stay on that show.
No.
I don't think they
Well-
need her, but
Well, look, she just launched her pastry business, and again, you know, these guys are getting free publicity every week. You know, they'd be stupid not to take advantage of the, you know.
I
we
like
need
Kathy,
a
though.
storyline
I
for
like
these
it, but
people,
sometimes-
though. Even Caroline, we need a storyline for these people.
But I like hearing like what she has to say, because I feel like in some ways, like compared to what Teresa and Melissa, sometimes she's more of like the moral
She's grounded,
ground,
Right.
totally.
grounded,
We
and I
s-
like seeing her perspective.
and I love Rosie. I am sorry, but Rosie
Yeah.
is like one of the best things that ever happened to that show.
Yeah.
I think. I
see,
love Rosie.
I like her. I wouldn't say
I'm with you.
love. Yeah.
I love Rosie.
I mean, all right. We see more of Joe and his confessionals than we do Caroline. She's a housewife.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of my
That's what I'm
problem
saying.
with it all. They need to balance that show out.
I think Caroline is backing away. I think that
think so.
she might be, like you're saying, she might be obligated via contract. I don't know, but I feel like she doesn't really want to be there.
Yeah, I feel like that too.
Well, guys, I think we could talk forever because we have a full house.
I know, right?
Did we hit everything? Anybody else have anything they wanted
and
to?
the Zumba, they were all
Zumba
together.
was good.
Yeah.
Well, wait, can we discuss Ashley real quick?
Oh yes,
Okay.
yes.
Since she's an original, and I'm sure we all have thoughts and opinions. I mean, I don't.
She looks great.
I don't think she was the only one that had work done because her lips were. looking
her lips
pretty
looked
She
a
big.
had
little
them
big.
last season though.
Oh,
Her
okay,
yeah,
lips.
did
She remember she did the whole blonde thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
that did not.
That was with the lips and the hair and all.
I
that.
think she looked great. That when you know, and I also feel like for her, no, but I mean, I think she looked very fashionable and she looked a little more subdued. She was getting a little crazy there for a while with like the lots of makeup and the crazy blonde hair. I thought she looked really pretty and nice, and also she seemed a little more level-headed.
Yeah, and mature.
I think she looked really pretty with her hair up. Actually, I have to say, I think she looked really pretty.
I
in
think
that.
she.
I don't know.
She looked
She was
good.
too overdone.
As a guy, you're not
she was
a fan?
way too overdone.
Really?
I don't understand the hairstyle. I know she was trying to channel like in a geisha or something, but it was a little much. It was just too much for
The
me.
bun
In
and
a
the
guy's
red lip is very
perspective.
on.
I'm not
It is on
hating. I'm
trend.
sure
It
she's a
is.
cool kid, but I don't know. I just think that I don't know. She didn't look underdone to me.
I feel like that old Ashley, where they had all the issues, and even Jacqueline spoke to it in her blog. That old Ashley is gone. I think she's mature. She grew up. It was a phase. They have a much better relationship.
It's good to see. I felt like I was seeing a different Ashley, and it felt like it was a better Ashley.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
I thought.
know.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And it was good that she was there for her mom.
Yes.
for such an important.
Can't wait to see the unveiling next episode. Cannot wait.
It was dramatic. She was walking up the walkway with the snow falling and her little hood on. Like it was kind of a dramatic
But I don't know
reveal.
how much different she could really look just with the chin thing. You know?
Oh,
I mean,
you'd
it
be
was one thing if she made a
surprised.
nose job or
Well,
facelift, but the chin thing.
I think
Have you ever seen? Some people don't have a defined.
I was
chin,
calling it a
and-
connected chin.
Exactly, and it makes a big difference.
It does.
It makes a huge difference
Yeah.
in your profile, especially.
Now I want to
So-
look at Jacqueline's connected chin.
Is mine okay?
You don't have a connect. No.
How
yours is-
bad does Jacqueline wish they redid those opening titles?
Oh.
We talked about that
Yeah.
before we wrap this up. They need
Yeah.
to read. Caroline's hair is
Oh.
like this short. Those are from like 3 years ago.
It
from,
is,
like, the
season
beginning.
3.
Yeah.
I need to see new pictures of these girls, and the kids are all small, and it doesn't
Updates.
update.
Especially when you have children, like
Bravo.
young kids, they grow so fast.
Yeah,
You're
doesn't
3
Bravo
seasons
have,
in.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
come on.
budget to do
Come
that. It's
on,
like, come on,
Bravo.
let's call Andy Cohen and tell him to redo that intro.
Andy
all
Cohen, let
right?
me give you the 411.
Put
Okay.
on your to-do list, Andy. Okay, instead of worrying about all the other
Kathy's
things.
got a new
Instead of spinning
nose. Like, let's keep track of the
cocktails.
You know, it
changes.
is tough. That's a good point. You know, these women undergo so much plastic surgery. They have to constantly
So
be
many
redoing
changes. Yeah.
their intro.
You got to maintain that.
Like,
All right. On that note, let's get to some news and gossip.
TV News.
Okay.
nice.
Good. I like that.
It's a high octane.
I
there.
like that. All right. I wish we had a picture for you guys to pull up, but we can't, unfortunately.
Well, where can we?
But it's actually from Perez Hilton. But Joe and Teresa, they had their first post-fraud red carpet
Oh, jeez.
appearance, and they were at the Hard Rock.
Post-indictment?
Yes, post-indictment. They were at the Hard Rock Hotel for an event in Florida, and the picture actually shows the two of them looking very, very comfortable and kissy-faced. And
Hold up.
With each
What are
other.
they? What are these two doing in
what are-
Florida? I thought they were bound to New York and New Jersey.
you are right about that. You are right about that.
These
That-
two.
that is
It's not the first time they broke the rules. Why am I surprised?
I wouldn't be surprised maybe if they got it cleared if it was something that they were like making money from, or it was
Yeah, if it was a
they
job
signed a
appearance.
contract or something.
If it was an appearance they were getting paid for and there was a contract, they probably had to go. But yeah,
because the government's already has their hands on that money.
they're
Right.
watching.
So they are
yeah.
watching. So too bad we can't show you guys a pic, but it's a cute little pic of them at this event, and very good point, Grant, bringing that up.
I'm just saying these two.
And then finally, I just have you guys remember Danielle Staub?
No, who?
Oh, I love her.
Well-
I really do.
I know you're a huge fan.
I am.
Well, Teresa had a lot of nice things to say about Danielle and her girls, and I quote, she says, Let's see here. And I wish all the best to her gorgeous girls, meaning Danielle Staub. She must be doing something right to have such great kids. Kids that aren't making fools of themselves on Twitter. And Danielle Staub's daughter, Christine, she tweeted her back. And of course, this was like.
But who
Well,
was
you
that
know
a
that
stab
was
at,
it was
though?
a stab at Jacqueline and her daughter.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
that's what
that
I'm
was
saying.
that she was known for doing that,
Yeah.
and she did
Yeah.
crazy tweets. Remember, she did that whole thing on Facebook with Danielle
And Danielle
What
and
the-
Ashley had a huge issue.
Huge
Oh,
issue.
Yeah, they got into a
big,
fight.
big,
Yeah.
big,
Huge. So
yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
more when I read
was-
that. I thought it was more of a stab at Jacqueline
And less of
more
a
so than a
compliment
compliment for Danielle.
yeah,
100%
Yeah,
agree.
totally.
This brown nosing. I don't.
Yeah,
Oh,
and of
Teresa.
course, you know, a young
Makes you
girl has to
wonder.
get caught in the crossfire, but, you know.
Makes
oh well.
you wonder why they are in conversation.
I also saw a quick little thing on E! News. They did a poll about what the viewers and the fans of The Real Housewives of New Jersey think that Teresa and Joe, what they think the outcome is going to be, and over 50% of them are like they're going to get put in
Something.
jail. It's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
because the allegations are so serious. Like
Those
they just
39 counts.
they really think
So
that.
what happens to the kids when they get put in jail? So would it be like it's Joey is
Guardian.
the godfather?
And
Like,
that-
I know that's a religious thing, but still,
if
would
they have a will set up, whatever that is,
Yeah.
will come into
Is
play.
Melissa
Yeah.
going to inherit the
And-
children?
well, yeah,
Oh
I'm-
my
I'm
God,
sure-
how crazy!
I don't
Yeah.
think it'll happen, but maybe.
I'm
Well,
sure
who
the
would it
grand-
be?
It'd either be
Could be.
Joe and Melissa, or it'd be the grandparents.
whoever
I'd
is
say
in
the
the will.
grandparents. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
It's
Well, the
whoever's in the
grandfather
will.
that's super, it's whoever's in the will, but I'm like
Yeah.
trying to wondering
Yeah.
like if the
Who?
grandparents, because if he's really sick, the grandfather, you know,
We
And
shall
I'm-
wait and see.
And
I
I'm sure
know.
they're you know,
That
making
would
sure
be
they put that stuff
interesting.
in order. And I don't know if you guys knew this, Juicy Joe, he is not an American citizen. So if they do,
could
you
be
know, get
deported.
convicted, he will be deported because he can't serve time in the United States since he is not a citizen.
Isn't that
Real
crazy?
Housewives go to Rome. Watch out.
Permanently.
Yeah, so that's very interesting.
that's
all right,
crazy.
is it time for some predictions?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So
Okay, so we see scenes for the next. There's more drama. I don't think it's another posh fashion show, but you know, Melissa's friends and the whole cheating rumor. All right, I want to know. Do you guys think she cheated?
Yes.
yeah, I do.
I don't want her to have, and I really like Melissa, but I feel like she did.
I think she did too. I think it was a long time ago, before she had her kids, like
Yes.
like when they were first married.
I just feel like what
But
is
I
in
think
it
she
for
did.
her best friend? Yeah, maybe she wants some camera time and some 15 minutes of fame, but
Well-
obviously Melissa has a reason to cover. I don't know. I just feel like she did.
I think she's we had this conversation. I think she was also a stripper.
Which I don't think there's anything wrong
Me
with that.
either.
Big deal.
Own it.
Up to
Own
it.
it.
I-
Own it.
Look
Get
at
it?
Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
He made a whole career out of
On
it.
the other side, I don't think she cheated.
Really?
I
Oh,
don't.
Really?
The man in the room.
Ever?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't. I think that there's a lot of rumors about their marriage and all, but I really don't think that she would do that. I don't think she'd be so stupid to give up that whole situation that she's in with her husband. On top of it, we've heard so much this season about her father
Yeah.
and how Joe kind of replaced her father in his
okay.
eyes. So I think there really could be.
But if that's what
an
she grew
honest
up
thing.
watching, maybe that's what she thinks is subconsciously is okay somehow.
I don't know. If you have kids, I mean, it
I-
sounds
But
like they
I
had
think
kids
this
early
was
on.
before.
So
I agree with Diona.
I think
I
it's
think
before.
this whole cheating and stuff happened before they had kids. Obviously,
I do
before
too.
the show, before all this, before she was like a family wife and all that. I
I
think that
predict-
happened.
I think they're dredging up old shit.
I-
Look what they
They
did with
are.
Danielle Staub.
That's what I'm
that
saying.
was
Yeah.
25 years ago.
I
Well-
predict that the next episode, we know that there's rumors, allegations of her cheating. I predict that something like very specific, some specific piece of information, like with a person or a date or a time, is going to come out and really make her look guilty. I don't know. I mean, I feel like she cheated. I don't know, but I feel like we're going to find out something that's really going to make us go, oh snap.
See, I'm giving Melissa the benefit of the doubt with some of these things because this bridesmaid friend of hers who turned on her,
Yeah.
you know, these women all have watched the show. They saw the Kim G, the Kim D, how they came up through the ranks and how they made these
So you
comments.
think they're just trying to get-
So, I mean, if this girl is so low that she would go after someone that considers her such a good friend and had her in her wedding party, then I don't put anything past her on what she'd be saying. I
Well,
really don't.
We're gonna end
Yeah,
with your
we'll have to
words,
see.
Grant. So
We
gonna
shall find out the
we're gonna
truth.
find
Can't
out
wait.
the truth next
Yeah.
week. Everybody, let's go around the room. Where can we find you?
I am Lauren Leonelli. You can find me on Twitter at Lauren Leonelli, Facebook, Instagram, and my website, all at Lauren Leonelli.
And I'm Grant Rutter, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Grant Michael R.
And I am Erika Garcia Rojas, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at IamEGR.
And I'm Diona Vaughan. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. Oh my God, at It's Me Diona V. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we will be here, all of us, next week.
Yeah.
Full house,
Full panel.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.